All right, I'm going to give you guys a full breakdown of the revenue and profits, as well as some expense info for my boat rental business that I have built brick by brick in the last 5 years. So I'm going to show you guys the brick, starting with literally my first rental ever. First rental ever was through this boat setter site. The reason I used it was because they had insurance through the website. However, the payment on the insurance was crazy. So first boat rented out was this one. Bought this boat for like $5,000 and then rented it for, I believe, like $1,200. $1,200. So I like how they hide the amount they pay because you get so little. However, I'm super grateful for Boat Setter and their peer-to-peer insurance policy, but you can see it took $300 and then the listing fee was another $150. So I only actually got $758, but to me, this was still eye-opening and I was like, holy crap, I need more boats. I bought this for around $5,400. By sites, I'm making my money back pretty quickly. So then I bought this boat for actually $0 down. I used dealership financing, which was pretty neat. It was about a $30,000 boat, and I'll show you the numbers, but you can see how I was able to pay it back fairly quickly. So I started renting this boat out again through the Boat Setter website, and then actually bought a boat, this one right here, that bad decision, but essentially bought it pretty cheap and then rebuilt it. So put in a new motor, put in the floor, put in the reupholstered the chairs, and ended up costing probably about $20,000. Oh, looks like call this one the party barge for that original boat is in the back here. But it ended up costing probably about $20,000 after all the expenses. So probably should have just bought a newer boat. Probably could have got it for less. However, you live and you learn. Also, Honda motor. Quick side note, I'm a big Yamaha guy now. So that was that first year in total through this peer-to-peer website. Made about $16,000. And then if I go here, just go back to 2020. Eventually, throughout the year, got after 3 boats, got a peer-to-peer insurance policy, which is, super key if you want to scale the business sustainably. It's about $1,000 and some change per boat, but I made $16,000 on Boat Setter and then another $90 through direct bookings and this website Square. So that's about 6 figures our first year. Pretty good. My first business I'd ever scaled to 6 figures. So pretty happy about that. And that gave me the confidence to scale. This next year, we actually did 2 locations. So 2 boat rental locations, Jordan and Heiko. Heiko alone did almost 200,000. And then Jordan did, I don't know, total collected in that. Honestly, I couldn't quite tell you the difference, but let's just call it, I'll split it in the middle. He did 70 grand on Jordan. So about 2/3 of the business, Heiko, 1/3 Jordan. However, we only had 2 boats on Jordan, and I think we had 5 by the end of the year on Heiko. We also did a lot less rentals on Jordan. Didn't staff our team as often, but it was still pretty cool. We were doing about like $40,000 per boat there, which, these are a lot of boats got for $20,000. So we're able to pay back and make profit on them fairly quickly. At that time, I was fairly hands-on 2020, 2021 with the phone calls. Did build a team at the second location. My childhood friend helped lead the operation there. But then he moved in 2022. And at this point, I was decided to move the boats back to Heiko. We have houses, which I'll show you later on that lake, that we own some of them, manage some of them. So really synergistic operation. And we consolidated the Heiko. We have an amazing crew there. Shout out Shannon and Kevin. But then, Heiko, we didn't make any money on Jordan, as I just showed you. Literally no money. But then Heiko, we made about the same amount in 2022. 2023, however, I actually switched. So we had built my own website and was using Square to take the payments, and then switched over to this website called Boat Club in 2023, and the back end of which is VQuip, which their team is incredible, and they also offer a renter's insurance policy, which on top of my commercial insurance policy is makes me feel more secure. renters can buy their own insurance, which is pretty neat. So then if I go to 2023, we ran our books through QuickBooks, and the business did less in 2023. There was more competition. I also was not doing the phone calls anymore. We brought in a UNC student. Shout out Nico. He's done great. Honestly, I think he's probably 2024 did better than 2023. But a lot of this game is like talking to renters, making them, understand how things work, making sure they're comfortable. So we did a little bit less. Also, there was more competition in 2023 than 2022, more other boat rental operators. Yeah, so we did 136, and then of that, 9,000 was gas reimbursements, renters buying gas, and then us, charging them. So our gross profit was just under 130, and then obviously we had expenses, storage for the boats, I guess one gas tank for a car, bank charges, contractors. And if you guys are curious about storage, we keep our boats stored off the lake in dry storage, or there's a lot of lake houses and docks, so shuffle between them when our renters are renting them. And then otherwise we tow the boats on and off the lake, pay my team $41,000. The rental season's really a few months, so pay them a good bit. It's not a year-round business. It's really seasonal. Insurance, that over $1,000 per boat checks out. 8,000 divided by 7 boats. Taxes, sales tax. So total income or profit on my end comes out to $52,000, but maybe 38% gross margin, which is solid. Especially when you hire team members who take control of the day-to-day operations. But yeah, make sure if you're doing this and you want to scale, you definitely need to consider you're gonna pay a crew, and obviously that's gonna you won't run like crazy high margins off the revenue if you bring in a team, which I have a few businesses at this point. So yeah, this is the last year I have the full books for. 2024 I did check, and we did make slightly more, I think 145 in top line. We're still working on the full books for taxes. So, but our bottom line will be roughly about the same margins. So probably should do a little bit more in income for 2024. And then I want to show you guys, or I think it's worth showing, my Airbnb portfolio, because like I said, we have the boats, like for this house, for example, the first one, we actually, we market the boats kind of as add-on experiences. They don't come with the houses, but we're pretty seamless. So there's 7 of these houses are on that lake. We also have other ones. I just launched one in Kentucky. People are paying between $1,000 and $2,000 a night for this property. So I've really leaned into, what I consider like experiential hospitality, like not just like normal houses, but, multi-family, generational travel. So family reunions, stuff of that sort. And it's more scalable. I live in New York now, and these properties are across the country, frankly. And if you look here, I showed you guys the other business kind of went up and then went down, is now kind of like staying relatively flat. But this business has been consistently going up. So I'll just look at this past May. This right now is my pricing software, and it just shows the houses that I'm currently paying for pricing software for. So I do have a few properties that we've sold that, maybe I managed for a homeowner before and no longer manage. That doesn't come up here. These are only the properties that I do currently manage and pay for the pricing for. So, but, last of that, did 6 figures in May, should do, have 131 grand on the books for July, should do end up probably like 170, 180. It's been growing every year. I'll look at April, went from 5,000 in 2021 to 40,000 in 2022. So in 2021, when, had the best boat rental year ever, the boats were definitely bigger than the houses. And then 2022, really the houses kind of took over, 41,000 to 52,000 to 89,000 to 95,000. And then next year I already have 5,000 on the books. So if I go last year, did over $1 million. Again, there's a couple other houses that would contribute to this, probably being close to like 1.4, 1.5. And this year, if you add up everything, in total, by the end of the year, it should be, 1.6, 1.7 perhaps, or I don't know, I'll just call it 1.5. But this business has been growing, and it's, in my opinion, a lot more scalable. Also, it's not something you don't have to buy every house. Initially, I liked the boats because I was like, oh, I can actually buy the boats, but I can't buy the houses. However, you actually don't need to even buy the houses. You can manage them. Like, I don't own this house right here. A homeowner owns it. You can manage the house. This is one right here. I don't own it. Homeowner owns it. I manage it. So they're responsible for buying it, the upfront, investment, and I just use my skill set, my expertise, and I get it rented. And for example, Jackson out of Florida hit me up, and he wanted help with growing a boat rental business. And I was like, well, what's your goal? And his goal was, freedom to scale a business, not, be able to leave his job. And I said, all right, well, in my opinion, the boats are great. They're a great start. I'm super appreciative and fond of my boat portfolio, but you should really get into the houses. So I believe he has 4 boats now, and I helped him with that, connected him with everyone I could, gave him all my insights there. And then he actually just got his first property under management. And after his first rental, I asked him, what was easier, or the first house rental or your average boat rental? And he was like, yeah, the house was a lot easier. I mean, it's just a couple of messages versus physically having to bring the boat out. And if you're curious about how much you can make managing properties, so here's a house in Tampa. That's actually where Jackson's market is. I'm not going to show you one of his actual houses, obviously. However, what I'm doing is I'm just pasting in, just, for illustrative purposes, a Zillow link onto BNBCalc, pulling the bedrooms, bathrooms, guest count. And what we're going to do here, it's going to do a report, and you can see the seasonality, how much revenue the property will do per year. And then ultimately, what is your profit as a co-host, which is $18,000. So managing a house like this, it says it's going to do $92K, but actually, if you look at the comparables here, you can see all the properties around there. I would personally, if it has a pool, I would compare it to ones with pool. I would hide the ones that might not have a pool because they might not be relevant, and get an idea of what the ones that are similar are making. So this is BNBCalc. I'm a co-founder of BNBCalc, but it's a tool to help property managers and individual investors grow their real estate portfolio. So you can get a 7-day free trial there as well. Not to discourage anyone, I just really think personally, growing the real estate portfolio, do have folk I work with like Jackson in that regard. And if you're interested, the link is in the description for that. If you guys are appreciative of this video and frankly my full transparency, make sure to like, subscribe, comment anything I can be helpful with, comment what more content you want from me. Your wish is my command, and stay tuned until next time.